My name is Curtis Martin. I was a pastor at Sapulpa from 1991 to 1999. My adventure began by calling the church board secretary, which was Yvonne Byard, following my acceptance and asking exactly when, who they would prefer me to use for moving my family from Nashville to Sapulpa. I was informed that the church was broke and had no money. And so they asked me to figure out what I could do. so I the plan ended up me being renting a couple of trucks and making two trips. And then after I arrived on scene and was installed as pastor, I then raised the money to compensate myself for the moving expenses. So I started off with an interesting adventure, but the people came through. They reimbursed me, so everything worked out good, and we got everything moved here, and I don't think anything was seriously injured, so we were good to go. When I think about my years there at Sapulpa, obviously the comes to mind is the personal challenges that the Parsonage family went through. I arrived in 91, and in early 92, my wife Donna, of at that time 23 years, was diagnosed with breast cancer. She put up a very gallant, very forceful fight, but succumbed to the cancer and on Labor Day weekend of 1994. And that became a spiritual journey for me in trying to develop my theology of healing. I had seen many people healed. I had prayed over people and watched God do miraculous things in their life. But as many people were praying for Donna, and as I was praying earnestly for her, she did not receive the kind of healing that I had prayed for. And so it kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. And I had to work through a lot of messages that I was receiving from all over the country. That if I had enough faith, she would be healed, and that actually there was a lot of things there that really didn't compute with the Bible to me. But so I had to work through all that. It sounded good, but I had to work through it. And I wish I could tell you that I have a written down method of interpreting God's healing, but I don't. I came to believe that God knows what He's doing. He has the power to heal. He does heal, but He doesn't grant healing in every situation. And I don't know why. But what I had to finally relinquish to God was that God never asked me to understand Him. He only asked me to trust Him. And so that was my breakthrough on the healing, is that I don't have to understand it. I don't have to understand why God healed some people and not others. And I don't have to do that, but I know I can trust God. Too wise to make mistakes, too loving to be cruel, and so I can trust Him. Now then, I was one year a single pastor. That was interesting. And after that, as you know, during that time, Lesta's husband, Tim Whitaker, was my best friend since actually high school days, and he passed away, and he and I had both made promises to each other if anything happened to our spouses that the other one would look after them. And so I began to call Lesta and ask her about how she was doing with things, and I understood what she was going through, and I'd been through some of that earlier. And so over the period of time, we developed a relationship, a telephone relationship, and decided that, let's just make this journey together as a married couple. And so what we did was we got married August the 15th of 1995. And so I went to Nashville and moved a second woman from Nashville in a U-Haul truck, and made the promise that I won't ever do that again. But anyway, we're all here, everything from Nashville, and so then we went through blending families, and that's another thing that only the grace of God can help you do. But I will tell you, it's been a lot of work, a lot of hard, difficult times, but God has helped us blend our families together, and we're so grateful for that. Then, if you want to hear some interesting things that happened while we were pastoring here, I will share with you a couple of those things. First, the one that I remember was on Sunday mornings when it was the protocol to have a solo prior to the sermon. The Sunday morning that Ray Winter, that's Jim Winter's father, who had a very nice voice, the Sunday morning he was to sing the solo prior to my message. He got up and sang the first verse standing at the pulpit, and at which point he stopped and said, I got new teeth this week and they just are not fitting well. So he took his teeth out and set them on the pulpit, and he gummed the rest of the song. There was an obvious difference, but he got through it, and then he went and sat down. I got up and I stood at the pulpit and I looked down at those teeth, and I said, Ray, I just don't think I can preach until you come get these teeth. At which point he did, and put them in his pocket and went back and sat down. That was an interesting time in our life. The 90s were the time of also the introduction to the internet. We got computers. The technology and computers came to Sapulpa. When I got here, we were making slides on a slide projector with a long lens up in the loft, and each week we had to make slides of all the songs we were going to sing and put them in order in the carousel and hope everything worked out right. We were using a old IBM Selectric typewriter to produce the bulletin and the newsletter. Well, back then we had newsletters. That was interesting. But it was kind of a challenge, and so I was a little further along than some of the others, and so I had bought into a series of books called For Dummies, and so we were using WordPerfect at the time, and so I brought this WordPerfect for Dummies to the office and presented it to the ladies that were working there, and I'll just say one of them didn't take that well. Felt like I was calling her a dummy, but there was some tense moments there, and we finally worked through it. And I don't think she ever read the book, but that's a whole nother issue. So we are blending families in the technological world with a parsonage on the corner. I always say it's on the corner of Main Street and Main Street, so 117 and Boyd, and everybody drove by. They knew who was there, when they were there. People would come by. It was an interesting time in our personal life. God gave me Lesta, and I'm proud to have her, and she's been a wonderful companion. Now we've been married as long as Donna and I were married. And so the journey continues, and God blesses us, and we're thankful for it. I'm thankful for my years at Sapulpa. I remember them with great comfort and joy, and made many wonderful relations and friends, and really never imagined that the Lord would allow me to come back and retire here. But he did, and I'm thankful to be a part of the church again. And oh, by the way, I did pastor it one more time. There was an interim between Pastor Steve and Pastor Brady, and so I was the interim here for a while. And so it was a positive time as well. God has been good to the Sapulpa Church of the Nazarene. We've come a long way since the days that we didn't have any money, and I had to raise my own money to move to where we are now. And God has blessed this church in numerous ways, and it's just so exciting to be here and watch it grow and watch it see what God's doing. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. God bless, and look forward to seeing you at the homecoming of the centennial.